You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
It's our 150th episode, and we're celebrating at Equine Affaire Ohio. We have the rare treat of recording in person. Hi, Kristen.
Hey.
And we have some great guests for you. We introduce you to the all-standardbred drill team from Cherokee Stables, which is one of their horses had a $2 million winner. Like, that's crazy. We debrief the secrets of the half halt with two of our listeners who attended the Wendy Murdoch clinic. And, of course, it wouldn't be an episode of Retired Racehorse Radio without featuring an adoptable horse of the week. Stay tuned.
And they're off on Retired Racehorse Radio, the podcast that is your guide to the adoption, care, and training of the retired racehorse.
This is Joy Orr.
And this is Kristen Kovach-Bentley, and we are coming to you from Equine Affaire in Columbus, Ohio, and you're listening to Retired Racehorse Radio.
Kristen, we're in person.
Oh my God,
looking
it's so
at you.
Fun. I know.
It's weird.
Actually, it's a little intimidating.
I know. I don't know how to do this.
You should blink more.
Oh, okay.
No, it is. It's really,
Yes.
really fun because normally we are speaking to each other with like Zoom screens in between us. So
I know.
Yeah.
I just see like a little picture of you in Zoom, and that's about it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's so nice. We've had a lovely time. I mean, we ran around and did the Equine Affaire thing yesterday. We're
Yes.
sharing a hotel room, went out to dinner, went out to breakfast.
Ate way too much cheesecake.
Yes, cheesecake, cheese curd. We've had a lot of cheese this week.
A lot of cheese.
But
it's
the
been
Equine
great.
Affaire, it's full of cheese.
Yes. But it's been fun so far. We got to meet listeners. Glenn and Ashley are here. So like the whole HRN crew is here, it feels like, which is fun.
Yeah, we're just basking in the, reflected light of Glenn's celebrity everywhere we go.
I know.
It's really a treat.
We're just in his shadow on a regular basis.
But it does make me, makes me feel really nice when listeners are like, oh my God, hey, and they see us from across the space and come see us. So, and that's the whole reason we're here is because one of our listeners, Andrew, requested that we come out to Equine Affaire, and we realized that that's a great idea.
Yes.
So,
It was not our idea, but hey, we love when listeners reach out to us, and whether it's feedback or inviting us to different things, like it's nice to know people are listening to us because sometimes I'm like, are we speaking into a void? Which is okay too, because I have fun.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, we saw some really cool things. There's not a lot of thoroughbreds here, but there's a ton of standardbreds here. And we
It's
saw
so
some
fun.
Really, really neat standardbreds.
Yes,
Yeah.
we really did. And it's nice to see them represented here. I know we talk a ton on the thoroughbred side. We know thoroughbred people love to share their stories on their thoroughbreds. So to get to feature the standardbreds a little bit more, that has been a real treat.
Yes, and of course to interact with listeners face to face, we have some listeners come on today to talk about the Wendy Murdoch clinic. That's where we had our listener meetup.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact with one of those listeners, she casually mentioned, she's like, oh, this will be the second time I've been on a Horse Radio Network podcast. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? So a couple of years ago, she was here for her bachelorette, and she happened to walk by the booth with her sash on, and Glenn was like, come over here, we got to talk about that. So we'll have to go back there and figure out which episode of Horses in the Morning that was.
I know.
But yeah, she had her bachelorette at Equine Affaire, which I thought was very, very cute. She's
Yes.
still happily married. So.
Oh, yeah. So if you're looking to have a happy marriage, get involved with horses, come to Equine Affaire, have your bachelorette party. It's clearly the secret sauce.
Yeah. So, and it's really cool because this is our 150th episode, which I didn't realize was going to actually happen at Equine Affair until
Me
a couple
either.
weeks
We didn't
ago.
plan it at all.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, how special to do it here.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
to do it live in face-to-face.
It's been great.
Great time.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm really excited for all our listeners to hear just the interviews we have. There's some great takeaways, and I hope they're listening to Horses in the Morning too, because they are doing some fabulous interviews here as well.
Yeah,
So.
they've all, the whole gang, we've had a great week, a great couple of days. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think we should just jump right in. But before we do, we're going to hear from our premier sponsor, Kentucky Performance Products.
This Nutritional Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. Biotin is a B vitamin and has become commonplace in feed rooms across the world because of its reputation as an effective hoof supplement. An interesting fact that was discovered by researchers looking at biotin's impact on hoof quality was that horses with normal blood levels of biotin still had poor quality hoof horn, and that despite normal blood levels, horses responded to high doses of biotin given orally. This tells us that unhealthy hooves are not necessarily a result of a deficiency. Over the years, multiple other studies have found a statistically significant improvement in overall hoof condition when horses are supplemented with at least 20 milligrams of biotin per day. Researchers found that if improvement in hoof quality was seen within 8 to 15 months of supplementation, the horse would need to remain on biotin the rest of its life to maintain that improvement. Other nutrients such as zinc, methionine, and iodine can also affect hoof quality. A well-balanced hoof supplement will contain all of these nutrients in addition to the 20 milligrams of biotin per serving. When you're looking for an affordable, effective hoof supplement, we recommend Caraform Hoof and Coat Supplement. If you want a show ring shine and strong, healthy hooves, you can count on Caraform. You can learn more about Caraform at kppusa.com. Got questions about your feeding program? We can help. Email Karen at questions@kppusa.com or call us at 859-873-2974.
Well, Joy, it's super exciting to be at Equine Affaire and seeing just so many really cool, amazing things. You and I never get out in public together, so it's also really fun to actually just go somewhere and see something. And yesterday, we went into the Voinovich Arena here at Equine Affaire, and I immediately grabbed your arm, and I was like, those are standardbreds. There's 8 of them. They're doing a drill team performance, and it was awesome. It was the coolest thing I've seen. I've never seen standardbreds do that. I've never actually seen 8 standardbreds in the ring together at the same time either, so that was really neat. So we're super excited. We chased down the coach. And literally chased her out of the arena, and now we're joined here by Trina Klauser from Cherokee Stables and one of her students, Emma Thornsberry. So, girls, welcome to Retired Racehorse Radio.
Thank you for having us.
So the drill team performance was awesome. So do you guys do a lot of drill with Cherokee Stables?
We do. I mean, when we get asked to come and do like demos like this at Equine Affaire, we'll throw together a routine. We started practicing this one, late February.
Oh my gosh. This is something that came together pretty quick.
Yeah. So we'll do a new routine if we get asked to go somewhere, and we'll throw it together maybe in a couple months. And Equine Affaire comes in early spring, and it could be cold a lot.
Yeah.
So it's challenging for us because we can't get outside with the weather, and a lot of times this time of year it's like freezing when we're practicing. Mm-hmm. But we got this one thrown together really quick, changed our music. We we demoed this last year here, different song, different routine, and just kind of started this one late February.
Love it. Yeah. So, and so we walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a standardbred drill team. And as we ran through the barns with you, you're like, oh, we're changing tack, we're changing outfits, we got to go do another demo. And I realized this is your business, this is your regular lesson program. So tell us about your stable and how you came across all these standardbreds.
So we've owned Cherokee Stables for 20 years now. And I always wanted to have a lesson program and a boarding facility. So we board horses, but we just started growing our lesson program with standardbreds. They just started coming to us, one at a time. A lot of just straight off the track. We had some connections, and when they were done racing, we were asked to, if we wanted to try them out, and I was like, absolutely. We were exposed to our first standardbred by a boarder, and she's now my best friend, but her standardbred was the easiest thing to transition because we trained her as well. And we just knew we wanted to build that program around this breed. So our very, very first drill team, it was a mixed amount of horses. We had only 3 standardbreds, and the rest were just a variety of breeds, and we just kept growing more and more standardbreds as we got them off the track. And as far as the lesson program goes, when the kids come to my place for lessons, we put them on. The kids don't know any better. They don't know. It's just a horse to them,
right?
Until they get a little bit older and start to learn, oh, this was a racehorse. And in Emma's case, she got paired with Golden Receiver. It was just a really good match, and they've just kind of been a match made in heaven for quite a while now. She took on the challenge. She was younger.
I was 12 when I first got him.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we started showing, she got to start showing him, and as the kids get a little bit older, we start bringing them into, the drill team with their riding ability, of course. Mm-hmm. But Emma showed a lot of love with GR. They just bonded really quick, and that's how she became his rider.
I love that. Yeah, Emma, tell us a little bit about, first of all, tell us about Golden Receiver, because he's very cool. What's his story?
He is. So I actually keep in contact with Nina, his race owner, all the time. She sends me a bunch of cool stuff. She gave me some of his old coolers that, like,
neat.
one of them says Pacer of the Year, and she's given me magazines and Breeders' Crown blankets. But he was definitely one of a kind. No one thought he would be the racehorse that he was, but he was. And then so cool. I remember when he first came to the barn, it was a big deal. It was like, oh my God, we have Golden Receiver. I was 11 or 12. I didn't know any better, but I looked him up and I saw his races on YouTube. I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember we were going to go to a show and I didn't have a horse to ride yet. So Trina was like, well, let's stick her on him and see how he does. First place right off the rip.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, yep, he's mine now.
That's awesome. And what were his earnings on the racetrack?
$2,215,011.
Wow. Did you ever think you'd ride a horse that had that much value?
Never. Never in a million years.
That's wild.
That's crazy. And then what I was most impressed with is you had a variety of disciplines that were being shown with your standardbreds, and they all had such beautiful strengths, like the lopes that you had for your Western ones, beautiful canters, which I think we hear often. There's a stereotype that they're just not very, very strong in the canter coming in. How do you bring your horses along? Like, what are you looking for in those standardbreds?
So if we get one off, like right off the track, we'll break it to ride within a day. We'll kind of test the horse out and see if it's going to present with maybe a trot. The one on the team that's racking, he just wanted to rack. And we knew the way his conformation and everything, he was going to just stay racking. We didn't want to break that out of him because he's very beautiful at that. That's just what he wanted to do. So every horse, we bring them in and we'll evaluate them and kind of see what they're going to do. And then once we figure out, okay, they're going to trot decent, we will start working them like any other horse. They're front-end pullers for racing, and then we just need to transfer that power up from the front to the back end. So we will start working them like any other breed, transferring that power to the back end, and developing that really nice trot. From that trot, we'll develop into a canter. So we'll train them almost like reining horses.
Wow!
So a lot of them will do a lot of rollbacks on the wall. Just a lot of trail riding hills, and just start to develop the power from the back end. From there, once they're pushing from the back end to the front, then they'll develop their own natural headset. So that's kind of how we start, transitioning them over.
Yeah,
I love that approach because it's not like you're acknowledging that they are a little different. They have a different experience, but then after that, you don't use that as a crutch, right? Sometimes we're guilty of being like, well, he's a standardbred, so we can't, and that's not true.
Yeah, I remember when we were first getting GR to canter, she and Brian took me and my friend Riley on a trail ride to Deer Creek, and we found this big hill, and Brian said, all right, canter him up the hill.
Oh, I love it.
And he developed that canter, and now we was able to slow it down, and now it's all pretty.
Yeah. Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah. Do you focus on dressage with him primarily?
For right now, yeah.
Yeah. I saw you in the dressage. You had the dressage tack on in the demo last night, and I was like, oh, look at him go. Yeah. And he's got big, almost warm blood like movements. So it's such a good fit for him. So
yeah, he's really gorgeous. He's a really nice horse.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I remember I went to a racetrack once, or not a racetrack, but a training barn, and I told them that I was riding Golden Receiver, and they was like, no way. And they were like, are you ever going to canter him? I said, yeah, he's already cantering. They're like, no. They couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So I was like, if GR can do it, any of them can.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's because of that approach, that you guys are putting that, because they all the ones that were cantering yesterday had a beautiful cadenced, clear 3-beat canter, and sometimes you see it's a little pasty, it's a little rushy. But yeah, we were just so impressed watching your guys' horses go around. So
yeah, and the Western one, to develop her lope.
That's a true lope.
It's a true lope.
Yeah.
And that was strictly, I feel like, reining training per se. And so we don't give them that crutch.
Right.
Like they're like any other horse. You will sometimes see a little bit of pace in them. When we show them every now and then, they might like hit a little bit of a different stride, and that will catch a judge's eye. And sometimes that, might put us down on the card a little bit, but it is what it is.
Exactly.
But we really work with them to develop and bring it along as the horse needs.
Right.
But
yeah,
we
the
don't
natural progression.
Yeah.
You're not.
We don't let
them
them have the crutch that it's a standardbred.
Right.
That's just they're heavy on the front end. We know that we know they're very heavy coming off the track.
Yeah.
Once we let them find their own balance, we're not holding them up.
Mm-hmm.
Like the drivers will hold them back.
Mm-hmm.
That makes them go forward. And initially you're like, you've got to release that and let them find their own balance and stumble through it. But, you could see with that team, they just, are coming along very nicely. All my youth riders will be doing 4-H with them.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah.
So you guys are in open comp. Well, 4-H, but you're against all breeds.
Yes.
You're not going to standardbred
Yeah.
only shows.
No, there's not a lot for us to do.
Yeah.
So we have to do open.
Right.
Yeah.
We've done standardbred nationals in New Jersey. That's cool because we are competing against our own breed. I think it's just, when we go to an open show, we get looked at sometimes.
Sure.
We don't care.
Right.
We will go right in the mix of whatever breed. We do not care what we're up against.
Absolutely. I love that.
And then
what a great
I'm
attitude.
curious for you. So, kids who see horses growing up want to start lessons. Like, it's always warm bloods. It might be a thoroughbred, like all the stories, the movies. Did you think that did you even know what standardbreds were when you got involved? And
No.
where are you today with them?
No, I didn't initially. Like she said, most kids don't know any better. It's a horse. So that's how I was. And then I would hear him talk about the racetrack. The more I got older, the more I got involved. And I went with a couple friends to that training barn and was watching them. So as I got older, we just got more involved in the race life. We like to look up all their stats all the time and see how they were coming off the racetrack.
That's super fun. It's to be able to pull your horse's history in that kind of way, that's a really special treat. Something we talk about on the show often of your horse already has a backstory before it comes to you, and you're just adding a next chapter to it. So.
Yeah. And the thing that I like is, I like to work for it. I don't want a horse just handed to me that does everything. So I got GR and I had to work for it. But it makes every win 10 times more satisfying because you put the work in on that.
I love that. That's so well spoken. And it's just a treat to see you all go through with your horses. It's clear how much trust they have in each of you. This is a big environment for horses to be in. And you mentioned yesterday you don't get a chance to warm up before you go in the ring. So how do you prep the girls, these junior riders, for that type of environment?
It's tough. We know something of events like this is coming up. Mm-hmm. We know we need to prep the horses, and obviously we can't get here and warm up. We had no warm up time in the Coliseum today. Not one of those horses had seen that Coliseum today. But we, at home or when we can, we take that horse as many times as possible to different environments.
Yeah.
Whether it's the trail rides or we might be showing all winter long, different venues. This is a lot, but they're on the track. They have seen a lot too. Mm-hmm. And with the standardbreds, they generally are really good about this stuff.
Yeah.
So taking the youth and putting them in those situations, making them work with their own horse. Like as trainers, we could get on and do it for them. But that doesn't benefit if something happened in the ring. They need to know how to fix it.
Yeah.
They need to know if that horse bolts or spooks. They need to know how to fix that.
Yeah.
By all means, as a trainer, we could go and I could ride your horse all day long for you, but it's something that they need to develop. So we try to bring them along, developing their skills and prep for something that could happen. They're responsible for, even though they're all mine per se, it's their horse. They do all the work on their own horse, all the grooming, the leg work, wrapping. We've taught them to do all of that.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I loved most about this barn. We'll go to open shows all the time and see all their trainers on their horses for them, and all they got to do is sit up there and look pretty. So when their horse acts up, they don't know what to do.
Right.
But then, we know how to wrap our own horse's legs. We fully take care of them, and I like that because it's the reality of it. You got to know how to take care of your own horse.
And all that foundational work of bringing along a horse that doesn't, kind of come ready bred and built for that discipline. So, and that was what I loved, because we followed you guys back to the barn yesterday, and I was like, I got so nostalgic for the barn I grew up in, which was also a 4-H barn where we were doing a lot of our own work and bringing along auction ponies and off-track thoroughbreds there, so very similar, kind of working with what you got, and the vibe in your barn was like just so fun. Everybody's helping each other out, and everybody's
very much felt like a family.
And everyone was just like,
genuinely
hey, to
are.
us.
That is not like a show. That's just how we are. The parents, wonderful parents involvement, and we have the kids are great. I mean, these kids, this is what they live for. And we're happy to oblige them.
I love it. Well, I know we're getting close to time. I have 2 ending questions for you both. Trainer, for you, like, you're running this program. What do you hope people take away when they get to see your performances or get to see the demos that you do with these standardbreds?
I think the biggest thing that I hope when we do these demos is that people realize they're not just a one-trick pony. They just don't just race. That we're hoping that even though all those different gaits are in there, that these are really usable, wonderful animals, and can do anything any other horse can do. So I think that's our takeaway from this. We really want the public to see that these standardbreds, they are worth a try.
I love that. And Emma, for you, I think a big issue we're seeing in the equestrian field, no matter where you are, is getting more junior riders involved and staying in it. What has your experience been, and how would you encourage other junior riders to get involved in something like this?
Yeah, so we're not rich by any means, my family, but I went in, I took the lessons, and then I found more interest in it, so I started going and helping cleaning stalls and really taking care of the horses. As long as you get your hands dirty and you're willing to put in the work, any trainer would see that if you're willing to put in the work, you're worth it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. It has been such a pleasure to see your horses go, and you're great ambassadors, honestly, for the breed. That was the biggest takeaway I think Kristen and I had, was like, wow, we wish everyone was taking their standardbreds out like this. This is amazing. So thanks for joining with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Cashel has been crafting top-notch products since 1986, designed to make your ride safer, more convenient, and downright enjoyable. From the Crusader Fly Mask, the ultimate fly mask, trusted by riders nationwide, to the blanket top performance felt pad with pressed felt with merino fleece. It's like a spa day for your horse's back. To the beautiful beaded halters, adjustable, durable, and gorgeous. Visit CashelCompany.com today and gear up for the ride of a lifetime. Cashel, where quality meets the saddle. All right, well, we are joined by listeners now. We have Andrew and Alex. And Andrew, it's your, I don't want to say fault, you're the person who encouraged us to come to Equine Affaire.
We got a personal invite.
I know, yeah. Andrew was like, hey, are you guys going to Equine Affaire? And Joy and I were like, you know what? Yeah, we are going to go.
We felt very special, Andrew.
So truly, thank you very much for giving us the invitation to come to Equine Affaire, because it's been a lovely weekend so far. And yeah, we were super excited to have you join us for the clinic this morning. So we went to Wendy Murdoch's Biomechanics of the Half Halts, which I think we all needed a refresher about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Andrew, what was your biggest takeaway from that session?
For me, it was really her talking about how to move the hips. It's it was very eye-opening to realize just how much I'm not thinking about my hips and how they're not opening, not moving. And then the other thing I really was impressed about was how she was able to get so much results and having her students not even worry about their hands at all.
That was wild to me. Yeah,
no one touched their reins.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was very much she went over initially okay, how is everyone taught to half halt? So Joy, how were you taught to half halt?
So for me, I was taught to engage the hip, whichever hip I'm trying to drive, but at the same time to squeeze that rein to stop the shoulder. It was never a pullback, but squeeze it like a sponge is what I was always taught. So still creating some sort of stop of energy in the front.
Right. Mm-hmm. And yeah, very similar for me. It was like a lift the pelvis, pull back with the core, lift the hands. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she didn't start anybody with anything with the hands. And I'm still not 100% sure that I actually grasped how to do a half halt correctly from that session, but it's definitely encouraged me to pursue a little more education about it. So
I found it was very mind-boggling, just because it almost threw out the entire premises of what the tradition goes
what
with.
You think a half halt is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was all in the hip.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if it's like one of those ill-named actions, because we immediately think halt,
yes.
Which instinctively you're thinking of slowing down, telling no, but actually I really like how she said it was to rebalance and to engage the hip for the first time, or prep the horse for a transition, whether upward or downward. And I think, I don't know what the name needs to be. That might be a ChatGPT thing that I do later on.
A rebalancing.
Yeah, but
it doesn't roll off the tongue as easy as a half halt. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to be like, whoa, half halt.
Like, really, it's a micro aid when you think about it.
It is.
Yeah, so I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah, and it makes so much more sense when you view it as a rebalance versus a half halt or a half go. Because that's what you're doing. You're really wanting to get your horse rocked back on their hind end and moving properly under them and prepared for what's coming next.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
100%. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, so I am new to the half halt. For the longest time, like I'm talking like 20 years, I thought it was a position relative to the rail. So I've been on this like rediscovery journey of what is the half halt. So I was super excited and I've been working with like the dressage lady that I've been training with, and rediscovering that it's not a position relative to the rail at all. It's, the energy, how you shape the energy with your horse. And so I really felt that there was a lot to go into. It's not about the leg so much as it is the hip, kind of like what you were saying, but there was a lot of emphasis in my training about the leg and the position of the leg, and to hear, it's more about the hip, and, the whole posture in the saddle was really just helpful to understand. It's not really even about the reins. It's more about the holistic approach to how you shape your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so Alex and I go back a ways, admittedly.
A ways.
So I used to coach Alex in intercollegiate riding back several jobs ago.
Yes.
Coming from a breed show background, it's very much about your body positioning. And when you think halt, I don't know if you remember this, but I always went into this long explanation on how humans are tactile creatures, and when you do an aid, you always want to go to your hands first, because as human beings, we want to touch things with our hands. And it was a lot of but you also have a whole bunch of your body to use other than your hands to communicate to that horse. And I think that's what Wendy was really emphasizing. And I was like, I had a flashback to my own teaching. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, well, as you say that, Krista, it makes me think too, if you watch horses in a field, they're not turning their shoulders into each other to move their feet. They turn their hind ends into each other to change the direction of those other horses. And I think we forget that that's their instinctual way to stay balanced, to communicate to each other, is more from that back end side than the front end side. But we're front end in a lot of ways. When you think about how people move, more people are quad dominant than hamstring dominant. So it's going to come that natural way to want to guide with the hands and create more tension.
Right. I think we learned a lot from Wendy, and I think a lot of what she was teaching is really applicable to the racehorses who are so sensitive and the ex-racers. So I think we'll try to have her come back on too.
Yeah. And I think that's a very primate thing to do. We like to use our hands. We like to outreach. We go to our hands first. And so many other creatures are like space and intent and very, very subtle cues. And that's where it's let's use the cue that's closest to the horse with our seat and our pelvis and reshape everything.
This is the usual kind of post-Equine Affaire brain fog I'm getting. Because Alex and I used to do the Equine Affaire for Alfred University, and we would go to clinics and come back and be like, I cannot even wrap your mind around it. You have to go home and digest it. That's what the drive home is for.
Yes, and we'd go home and then do very strange things with our horses, and our horses would always be like, oh, you went to that thing where you saw a bunch of shenanigans, and now we're trying to, tie a rope to a mounting block and lead that around the arena from our horse to practice for ranch or versatile ranch cow horse or whatever it was.
Yeah, so this is a long-standing tradition for all of us.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, for you, what was your biggest takeaway?
Oh, well, first of all, that I really desperately need to find a local coach again, because I don't have one. Unfortunately, my coach passed away a few years ago, and it's been really difficult to find someone who's open-minded to the thoroughbreds and open-minded to us being in Western tack, but learning from a dressage perspective. And in our corner of the woods, it's really difficult to find that person. So we have ranch trainers I can travel to, and we have dressage trainers I can travel to, but if they're people that want to put all those things together, that my husband and I are mounted on thoroughbreds in ranch tack but want to learn dressage, that's a little bit harder to find. So that was my biggest takeaway. But also just that concept of even just finding your hip joint and walking and finding your hip joint, because exactly what she said. She's like, point to your hip joints, and I pointed to like the top of my pelvis and was like, yep, that's my hip joint. No, that's a bone. That doesn't move.
Right.
So when I'm trying to move that part of my body in the saddle, that doesn't work. So yeah, locating the actual hip joint and being more conscious of how that works, I think that alone, she even said, she's like, you know, if you can figure out where that joint is, that's going to transform your riding and it's going to open your hips. So I'll be doing that. If you see me poking at my hips while we're walking around today, that's what I'm doing.
That was one of the homework
I had a very
assignments.
similar thought with that. Was like, you just very much had no clue where the hip joint was.
I know. I'm like, I'm so out of touch with my own anatomy. It's amazing. Like, I don't know where my hip joint is.
So I feel like we spend so much time talking about where the horse's anatomy is, and no clue on me.
Yeah.
So.
And it's really, it's a team thing. And that's, the biomechanics that she emphasized for everything we all needed to hear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think for me, it was with the upward and downward transitions, how to get out of the horse's way was it comes with their back and not landing. So if you're coming from a downward and that walk from a posting trot, that you stay posting until that horse fully comes down to the walk. And even with the canter, which I think would be hard for a lot of riders, Wendy specifically said, we all try to stop the canter, but we're not prepping the horse for the next thing.
Yeah, you don't know what comes next.
Yeah, and I think that for any horse, that's a benefit to not stop that direct energy and have them brace in the back. But I especially think for our green bee and ex-racers who have no idea where their legs are half the time, to really see like they're probably going to progress faster the more we get out of their way and just allow them to figure out kind of the lay of the land and where they need to put their next step. So that was a big takeaway for me.
Yeah. But yeah, really educational session. We're super excited to have you guys come out and watch it with us and then to recap it with us here. So thanks for coming out.
It was great to meet you guys. Thanks for coming.
As horse owners, we spend a lot of time on the road. Let US Rider help keep you covered. Our equestrian motor plan offers fast, reliable, nationwide service from our highly trained roadside assistance team. 24/7 coverage for both you and your horse. Membership includes horse trailer servicing, towing, flat tire repair, even on dual wheels, battery assistance, and lockout service on any vehicle in your plan. We also have your equine companions covered with referrals for emergency vet services, farrier referrals, and emergency stabling assistance. Get peace of mind on the road for you and your horse. Join US Rider today.
Well, it's that time of the episode where we are going to feature an adoptable horse, given that we were at Equine Affaire. Schedules did not align the way we would have hoped to have our New Vocations friends join us, but that is okay because we don't want you to miss out on all the amazing horses that they have available. So for today's episode, we are featuring a thoroughbred gelding. His name is Rouge to Riches. His barn name is Rich, and he is so stinking cute. He is a very dark chestnut, almost pushing into that bay territory. So if you're looking for a chestnut that's going to get some second glances, Rich is probably that horse for you. He's described as a very handsome boy and has a box of chocolates personality. He's exuberant, friendly, and charismatic. And you can tell by his picture, this is a horse who wants connection and wants partnership. He is just absolutely adorable. He's a great size at 16'2", and he's located in Ohio. He's only had a handful of starts, 17, and he placed a few times, but really racing was not his calling. So if you're looking for a level-headed horse who enjoys work, enjoys having some fun, and has good personality, Rich could be that horse for you. He's rated as a level 2, so a nice amateur-friendly with a trainer or someone who's looking for a slight step up horse. So if you are looking for the next horse for you, check out Rouge to Riches at horseadoption.org or horseadoption.com. Currently, he is going for an adoption fee of $1,500, so very, very doable. You'll have to be approved first, so get your applications in and keep perusing all the horses there. They do go fast, but there is always going to be a horse for you. So once again, that is newvocations.org.
You can find our show notes and links to today's guests on the website at horseradionetwork.com. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Retired Racehorse Radio. Follow the network on Twitter at Horse Radio. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at The Horseback Rider. My email is kristen@horseradionetwork.com.
You can find me on Instagram at MisfitMare, and my email is joy@horseradionetwork.com. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products, Cashel Company, and U.S. Rider, and to our partners, New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program and the Retired Racehorse Project. Don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network, part of Equine Network, at horseradionetwork.com. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, as it really helps us grow. Remember to set your goals high and love to learn from every ride.
And as always, cow side leg.
Bye, guys.